almost 20 years since TecHome Builder launched as a tabloid trade publication in the fall of 2001. The publication had a dual focus on what was a much more narrow slice of home technology and IT solutions for builders, mostly dot-com companies that were going to transform home building and disintermediate almost every source of supply. 2 years later, most of those companies had gone poof, like so much of the dot-com world. But we did connect with dozens of company leaders with staying power. In 2001, Mike Moore was owner-operator of Options Online, a digital options marketing and selection system that eventually became the backbone for options sales by SoCal Design Center leader Chateau Interiors. Melissa Moorman was Tim Costello's partner in crime at Builder Homesites, Inc., operators of NewHomeSource.com, the Envision Options platform, and a suite of other digital marketing services for builders, all of which now flies under the BDX brand. While Mike and Melissa's roots were in the digital sales and marketing solutions space, they have over the years become deeply experienced and knowledgeable in the home tech sphere of TecHome Builder. They are also fierce warriors in the battle of new homes for market share versus existing, or should I say used homes. I had a chance to go deep with both of them regarding how today's home technologies can create differentiation and generate wins for new homes versus used.
Mike, you've been a warrior for so many years for the home building industry and trying to get the industry to adopt practices that would enable them to win a bigger share of market versus used homes. Let's walk through some of your great recommendations, and let's talk about the home product itself for starters, and then we'll talk about some process related stuff that can maybe get us to more homes sold versus existing homes.
Yeah, and I guess to establish what we're talking about is building homes that will sell to the market that we're not selling to. We're obviously selling homes and we're 40, 50% more than we normally sell right now. So we're going to sell homes. But for years, what I've looked at is the amount of market that's out there that wants to buy a new home, will only look at a new home, and they shop and go home and redecorate, remodel, don't move, because we don't build new homes. We build old homes that haven't been lived in. And when things get tough, we come out of an uptick and things get tight, we tend to pull out of the houses and build them even cheaper rather than building better, newer homes. So the product itself, if we could ever, step back and embrace that we've got a bigger market that wants to buy from us, by 3 or 4 times more people that want to buy from us than we're selling. So it's not really a risk. It's they're there. All of the studies, Hanley Wood, John Burns, Myers Group, the numbers are there. So what does it take to do that? We need to build new homes. And what do I mean by a new home when I say that? Because, our industry is an industry full of used home buyers that are in agents selling homes.
What percentage of the home buying market is open to or would prefer to buy new versus used?
Even in the worst of times, and these stay pretty consistent over the last 10 or 12 years, from into the downtick, all of this uptick this last year, 19% of people only want to look at a new home. 34% strongly prefer a new home. So we're at 53. Zillow says 60% of the people that go online, and Zillow's a used home site, that 60% of their traffic wants to look at new homes. We know we've got somewhere, let's say safe, realtors and the National Association of Realtors, they'll admit to 40 or 45%. They don't like to because that's the used home sales team. That's what realtors do. So you've got this big match. That's the ones when I lay those statistics out and ask builders if they fit in the 19 or the 34, they don't. They buy used homes. And we don't think of our new home, and what we haven't done as an industry is look at that market and go, why? The
Yeah.
number one reason those people want to buy a new home is to personalize it.
If you look at home purchasing and improvement market, we're only at 13%. And we're getting beat by existing homes at a 5-to-1 rate. So how do you explain this relatively weak market share and kind of the losing proposition versus existing homes? How can we do better?
We're kind of riding this wave right now, which is really great. And, everybody hates where they live. They're all looking for new homes. It's just, we track the Google search index, and shoppers went up from 2019 to 2020. Now shoppers have gone up, 2020 to 2021. Our Google index shows about 20 to 30% uplift year over year, and it was higher than the previous year. So definitely people out there looking, but as we go into the back half, it's going to get much more competitive. And I think that's the perfect time to talk about, okay, there's going to be all of these used homes flooding onto the market. How are we going to win then, right? We're going to have a lot more competitive pressure. I think, it speaks to the features in the home, right? It speaks to all of this pain that consumers have, and it's so heightened. And we've gotten super particular about our homes. And it's interesting in that as consumers, we don't think of it as tech. So we don't think about, oh, I need a super techie home, right? We don't think that way. What we think of is, wow, I need completely different living environments, right? So I now have home offices / school offices. And even though we think, well, when the pandemic's over, schools probably will open back up, but there's a ton of data out there supporting that a lot of us will continue to work from home, or kind of a hybrid model. We will continue to work from home some, right? We won't be in the office as much. So that home environment is really important, and tech plays a really important role, even though the consumer doesn't say, I want a techie office, but they need good soundproofing. They need connected Wi-Fi that works all the time. They may need, virtual backdrop screens, green screens that pop down and go back up, right? Because now we're kind of all in recording studios in our bedroom. So super important. So those technical pieces are really important, and it carries into other living spaces as well, because right now we value, and out of necessity, we're having entertainment at home, right? And that probably will continue to some degree. So we're kind of back to, wow, we need media rooms, right? Or we at least need spaces that can convert to media rooms, right? So big screens are important. Sound systems are important. Integrators must just be loving, all of that. But as a new home buyer, I'm not looking to move into an empty shell or a used home and then going to Best Buy and buying all these pieces and parts and figuring out how to put them together. I want to walk in, and it just is for me.
Right.
And then when you talk about entertainment, it moves to the outside, especially right now, because we can only entertain outside. As we go outside, we want to be able to entertain outside as well, right? So we need big screens outside. We want beautiful lighting. We want lighting control outside. And so we have the kitchen that we need outside. So when you kind of look at all the spaces in the home, the features we're looking for are really powered by tech. And we were talking about the kitchen and our lack of skills in that arena, but a lot of people have become gourmet cooks, and they're making their own bread and they're baking. But you think about the kitchen, it needs voice activation now. It also has to be completely Wi-Fi enabled. I need power everywhere, but I don't want to see the power. I now need to have spaces for, perhaps my LG unit that grows my own food. Because now that the apocalypse has happened, we're kind of all freaked out about like sustainability, and I need really great food, and I need like pure water, and I need like.
But can't I get a lot of those things in an existing home? Can't I install them myself or have Joe Integrator come by? And,
you sure can.
so am I really going to get the difference? Is the builder really going to be able to deliver strong differentiation with those tech features?
I think that they can, because you're right. If you go through all those things that I listed off, nobody wants to go buy all those pieces and parts and then try to figure out how they work together.
Yeah.
That is not an amazing experience. And when you think about the consumer appetite right now, we're really picky about our homes. Like, it's not just that I want a Ring doorbell and that's it, right? I want a 360 camera view of the whole house. That's what the perimeter of the house. We are battening down the hatches.
Yeah.
So you could go buy a few pieces and parts and sprinkle them in your home, but it's not the experience that consumers are looking for.
Yeah. And I think the energy efficiency piece and the healthy home piece, that's very hard to replicate with a retrofit, right? Some of it's about the stuff that's in the wall or the wall itself, right? And then some of it's about mechanical systems that are not easy to replace, to tear out and put something new in. So we're talking about big differentials in price and inconvenience for a retrofit versus a built-in solution in categories like that.
Right. And if you can't do it yourself, you've got to hire someone to come in and do that for you, which is a little scary, right? We're a little bit more leery about who we let into our homes at this point in time. And some of the changes that we want in our living experiences are a combination of the footprint of the home itself and the spatial configuration in combination with the tech, right? So when you think about our kitchens now need to be bigger, and I need to have a space for the unit that grows my food, or I need the water purification system. My existing home doesn't even have that space. Or when you start to think about, the master retreat, which is now really important because those kids are with you 24/7. What's important is, that it's soundproof, that there's lighting control, that there's absolutely no light coming in when I'm trying to sleep. And then to your point, air quality is so important for a good night's sleep. Those things are really hard, if not impossible, to retrofit.
Do you think, Mike, to some extent, right, in real estate, we've got location, location, location. And I think that's accepted as like a law of physics at this point. And existing's always going to have a perceived better location than certainly a newly built development where all of the commercial infrastructure and institutional infrastructure isn't there to create the neighborhood. But to some extent, isn't location the determining factor because we let it be, because there isn't enough difference between new and used, so that location becomes the deal decider, right?
Two things. You're right. The older home, the used home, is in the original good location. The thing is, this market that I'm talking about, the buyers that I'm talking about want to buy new. So even if location, that we have always believed, and it gets in our way because it's a confirmation bias, so we can't look at this and the bigger picture. When I want to buy new and I'm buying new, I don't want to be in an old location. So even if you tore down and built me new in the old, I'm actually liking and wanting to be in a new place and let it build up around me and let it be new, because I'm buying different from the old days. It used to be that the home ownership was the American dream. Now lifestyle is the American dream.
If there is a new home buyer, as you posit, they probably want new stores. They want new outdoor malls. They want new schools and new churches. And they just don't want just the new house. They want other stuff that's new too. Again, on the tech piece and how tech contributes to that, what I like to call order of magnitude differentiation with a used home. Let's kind of walk through it category by category if we can, Mike. So probably the most prominent category right now is in the electronics and low voltage realm, the smart home security piece, Um, but you could get that on a retrofit basis as well from a lot of different sources. Is that really a differentiator? And if so, how do we make it a differentiator?
Yes, it is, because we still even have builders giving away an Alexa with Ring doorbells and Blink cameras and calling it a smart home, which those things don't make it a smart home. They make it a home with some smart devices that I could put in an apartment. And there's some convenience, but multiple apps and so forth. If you're going to make it a differentiator, it has to be a whole connected home, and it's connected to me, not a bunch of things connected to me, but my home's connected to me with everything in my home connected, so I can control it from one application, from my phone, and I can run my house. I have my home in my pocket. If I can't do that, it's not a smart home, it's not a connected home, and it's not prepared for the future either, because I'm just going to be changing out products. And that's not new again. I'm buying a new home fixer upper. I'm buying a home that's built new, but it's not new because it doesn't have all the latest and greatest features. When you ask consumers, if you buy new, how many of you expect it to have the latest and greatest technology and features?
So there's the include these tech features and integrate them with overall design piece. But how do we tell that story? How do we tell that story of the order of magnitude difference? You guys are in that business of telling the new home story to home buyers for thousands of builder clients. What do you think some of the keys are?
So I think, and I will tell you, I think our ability to tell that story has exponentially improved through the pandemic. And while I would never say there's really a silver lining of the pandemic, but when it comes to digital transformation, it took so many of our builders from kind of thinking about some of the things they should do to better kind of tell their stories to they were suddenly faced with, and it seems so long ago now, but back in March, they were faced with, holy crap, they're not going to be able to come see me. I have to be able to tell this lifestyle story online, digitally. And what went from some of the tools that we had before of kind of nice to have, like, vitamins, like you take vitamins because they're nice to have. Right. You don't think you're going to die today because you don't take them. To suddenly they're morphine, right? You have to have a virtual design center in today's environment because there is no other way to experience this in a pre-sales and post-sales environment. So I think in a way it has accelerated us to meet our consumers and buyers where they've already been. They've already learned to design their tennis shoes online and their cars online. They really want to be able to do their houses online. And so I think what we've seen is builders have gotten really much better at being able to tell that lifestyle story and tap into that emotional connection, because they can't count on the fact that someone's going to come in person. And let's face it, sometimes we don't do a great job even in person, right? It's not necessarily great, but they're learning how to use digital tools and technology to really tell that story and highlight those features that are so unique to new.
Yeah. So there's the storytelling in the experience and the compare and contrast. And then there's the more logical, descriptive explanation piece, right? Because when we're talking about newer product categories, not everybody knows what a EVR does, or what have you. Or nobody wants to know about ASHRAE 62.2, but they would like to know the difference between stale and fresh air. So we've been talking for years about how digital really enables for the buyer who wants to understand and get more information. There's really an ability to deliver that digitally that's next to impossible in person. And next to impossible in person from the average sales associate, at a builder model home or design center, right? I mean, when they get asked about
Absolutely.
technology, they typically say, I don't know, but somebody does. And then there's nobody to talk to them about it. So we've got
Right.
the ability to tell these, not only tell the story, but to provide the education, I think.
Absolutely. In fact, I think, it's even worse than just kind of avoid, not being able to answer the question. But I think a lot of times it's so intimidating that we kind of purposely don't talk about some of those great features we put in the home because it is intimidating. And I don't want to have to say to my prospective shopper that I don't know what that does. I don't know how that works. I don't, that's not a great way to exude confidence in a selling situation. And part of it is, the customer doesn't actually really want to know how it works, most of them. Now, there are a few geeky ones out there who really want to know, and you can satisfy that. But it's really about what's this going to do to how I live and my life. And then I do want some information, right? I do want a little bit of information about how that's going to work. But it's really about how am I going to live will be different.
I think another thing that struck me, because I've been doing a lot of interviews with multifamily players, is I mean, smart apartments and technology infused in the shared spaces are rapidly becoming the norm in the multifamily world, where a lot of first-time buyers, are living before they get to that first-time house. So if they've had it in an apartment, they certainly are going to want to see that even in a entry-level first-time home.
Yeah, well, and back it up even from that, when you look at new college dorms, living environments, they're like resorts. I mean, they have
Yeah.
granite countertop, they have coffee shops, they have workout rooms and, spa pools. I mean, I think I'll go live in them. Their expectations are different. So you show them a house with, Formica in it, or, it doesn't have Wi-Fi. It's like, that's just not going to cut. But again, they may not realize it, right? They just may not click in on how, unique and how special it is, and making sure they meet those standards. The other thing is they're not DIY folks, right? So they didn't work on the car with dad. They didn't fix the toaster. They throw the toaster away if it doesn't work, buy a new one. So they're not going to want to go to Best Buy or Home Depot or wherever and install all this stuff to get this amazing experience.
Buyers don't want those pieces and parts either. They really don't want pieces and parts. They want a whole house finished so that it reflects their personal taste, style, and enhances their lifestyle, which technology is a lifestyle enhancement. If lifestyle is the new American dream, a new home without technology can't enhance my lifestyle.
And I think that's really true of the smart home security category, which has become atomized into a bunch of well-known products. And I've seen builders who are marketing it this way. It's like, I have XYZ product, instead of really talking about the benefits and the solutions. And you do need to get to an integrated functionality that at least is an improvement versus the out of the box of a DIY side of things. So I think one of the things that's been occurring to me in conversations around this is like, the differentiator was just having the stuff for a while. Now the differentiation has to be, how is this better than what can be done on a retrofit or do-it-yourself standpoint? And I think smart home security is a category where that's really true.
A new home, to define a new home, it has to be, and it's actually healthy, fit, and fashionable. Sometimes we call it fabulous, but healthy is that issue. Is it built to the latest, greatest standards? Is it built tight, ventilated correctly? Is it energy efficient? Is it self-sufficient, generating its own power? Now I'm getting to the healthy.
A lot of stuff that's hard to do on a retrofit basis in a used home, right? Almost can't
do it on a used home. You can't wrap the home with foam. You can't. You just can't get it done unless you tear the house down and turn it into a new home. So healthy is one that differentiates us. Fit is the technology. And if you think about it personally, I can be healthy. I can eat healthy and be the right weight and be physically healthy and not fit, not in shape. Then I can't function well because I'm not strong enough. I don't have the stamina. If you think of the home this way, a new home being healthy and fit, the technology connects the home and allows me to run the home so it's fit. The home is fit and functional and will do everything I want it to do. Then the
Gotcha.
last piece is the fashionable piece, which is the design piece
Yeah,
that allows for me to,
show
design
your
a
style.
plan. Yes. Yes.
And we talked about that piece. AV, audio video, is kind of an old hat category in terms of technology in the home, but there's new AV that really speaks to that fashionable or fabulous side of things as well, right?
Absolutely. That's the issue with technology, is that it really is, it laps over into fashion, because even just the fact that I can run my home from my device in my pocket is a fashion statement.
Builders are recognizing tech as one of the top differentiators versus used homes, but the play is evolving. It's not just about offering categories of tech, but about putting together integrated assortments that can't easily be copied with DIY and retrofit installation. Technology and integrator partners are here today to create that difference. It's also about being able to tell that story in all kinds of ways, especially digitally.